Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
What are you doing, Lowell?
You're not coming in here.
Look, I know how you feel.
You don't know how I feel. If you knew how I felt, you wouldn't be in here with that.
Listen, I'm on a tight schedule, and I don't want to have to fight with you.
Look, I don't care about your schedule. You are not using those things in my forest.
Listen, I ain't got time to argue. Now move!
You're not going to do it like that.
December in the Stars 2025. All of our episodes are taking place, well, the movies that we are talking about in these episodes are taking place in outer space, and this episode is no different. My name is John.
My name is Lloyd. And I love trees so fucking hard.
So much. He's such an ecologist and conservationalist that he just daydreams about trees all day long. That's what Lloyd does. That's also what the protagonist of the film we're talking about today is all about. And we're talking about 1972's Silent Running. Let's get into it.
I'm ready to go in, Coach. Just give me a chance. I know there's a lot riding on it, but it's all psychological. Just got to stay in a positive frame of mind.
Before we start the show, this episode is coming out the week of Christmas. So even though this isn't like a Christmas-themed episode or a holiday-themed episode for anybody that celebrates anything other than Christmas, of course, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, everything that's out there. Life Day, if you're a Star Wars fanatic. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Thank you for
happy
listening.
holidays, y'all.
Let's start 2026 with a bang, literally, figuratively, however, but let's have a relaxing last week or so of 2025. And as we record this episode on December 18th of 2025, it is our good friend and fellow podcaster, G.I. Gary. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Gary.
Happy birthday, Gary.
We love you, Gare. If you don't listen, you should go listen to Chaplin's Assistant Motor podcast. That's Gary's podcast, where he talks all about the fandom of G.I. Joe, whether it be the cartoon, the comic book, the action figures. If you're not a fan of G.I. Joe, then I get it. Maybe not your thing, but if you are even remotely interested, he is one of the best at it. He does an incredible job, breaks down toys.
He's the best.
Yeah, he is. I don't want to like blow him up too much. It's his birthday already. But yeah, Gary is awesome. His show is awesome, and check him out. All right, let's get back to outer space and talk about Silent Running. Now, Lloyd, I picked this movie for us to do for a couple of reasons. The last movie we're doing this year is 2001: A Space Odyssey, which a lot of the visual effects were by a guy named Douglas Trumbull. Douglas Trumbull is the director of this film. We'll get into that. But you also, at one point early on in the Pint's history, and I don't even remember what it was, you had some kind of connection to somebody that was friends with Douglas Trumbull?
I can tell you all about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of Trumbull, this is going to be the fourth Douglas Trumbull movie, I believe, that we've done.
Andromeda Strain, right? He did the effects of that.
Star Trek, the motion picture.
Right.
Holy involved cow. In that.
Yep.
This one here and the upcoming, so this is the third. The next one will be the fourth, 2001. We never did Blade Runner, did we?
We have not yet, but it will be coming in 2026. And actually, one of the factoids I read about this movie is I read that this was released along with Andromeda Strain as a double feature, apparently.
Yeah, I just heard that today.
Back in the days when they used to package movies together. And actually, I would almost want to listen to the Andromeda Strain episode from a year ago about this time last year, because I think I have this weird feeling that we mentioned that it was a double feature with another Douglas Trumbull. He didn't direct Andromeda Strain, but he worked on the photo effects in that film, and he directed this one. So, yeah.
Yeah, that could be. I don't recall, but I think you very well may be right there. Okay, so the story about Douglas Trumbull is I used to work at a engineering place not too far from where you work and from the old comic store,
Oh, yeah.
DJ's Comics. We had a plastics department, and we made a lot of plastic tooling, masks, and things like that for for flying air parts. And the plastics department guy, whose name was also Gary, not GI Gary, but Gary. He actually told me, because he knew I was a podcaster and a big fan of sci-fi and all that. He goes, "Oh, you know what? I've been to Douglas Trumbull's place." He goes, "Yeah, you want me to see if I can get you and your buddies in there for a tour?"
Right.
And I'm like,
right.
absolutely, yes. So he tried to contact him because he had his personal numbers and stuff. It never happened. So that was the story behind then. And I wonder if at that time, maybe that's around when we did Star Trek.
It might have been. He died in 2021, I think.
Yeah. So this would have been around 2018 or so that this happened.
Yeah, we did the motion picture, I think, pre-pandemic. I think that was around like the second or third year of the show. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my Douglas Trumbull connection. Speaking of Trumbull, he is visual effect. He's a film director, but he only did 2 films. Mostly, he's a visual effects guru. Pioneered a lot of innovative methods in special effects. He has worked on such films as The Andromeda Strain, the 2001: A Space Odyssey, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, Blade Runner, and many, many more. His other directorial feature was Brainstorm, featuring Christopher Walken, Natalie Wood, and Louise Fletcher.
Yeah.
We spoke about recently.
The film Natalie Wood died on.
Her last film. Yeah.
That's
she didn't die on the film, but she died.
No, in a break. They were in.
Right.
I read a whole story about it. They were in a break from filming. She had that mysterious death, and then they wanted to not release the movie at all. And Douglas Trumbull was like, "I can finish this," because they were already done, I think, with her stuff. So yeah, it was a whole thing. Yeah, probably pushed him out of directing. Honestly,
probably. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about that too. And it was his work on Andromeda Strain that really kind of set him up to direct this silent running. In '75, he turned down an offer to do effects in Star Wars, the original one, due to his commitments on Close Encounters of the Third Kind. After the silent running movie, he developed a few other movie projects. So he was kind of like an up and coming, hot movie director. But I didn't get into it, but misfortunes and bad luck really kept them from getting beyond the development stages. And he calls that period of his career developmental hell.
Yeah.
And then he returned to creating special effects and, never went back to directing. And since around 2000, he spent most of his time in the Berkshire Hills of Western Mass, which was who I said before, he visited him because that was close by. And I lived right near there. I mean, I lived in the Berkshires in Western Mass, but I never visited him. So, and then he developed in 2014 a new digital system called Magi for shooting and projecting native 3D in 4K. There's a whole explanation about it, but it's a technique called cadence where that's how 3D works, is alternating images between the left and right eye and synchronizing it with the glasses and the projection on the screen, and supposed to make you I think feel disturbed when you're watching 3D.
I can't do 3D. It makes me feel weird. Yeah. Ill almost.
Yeah. I think this technique is supposed to sort of counteract that, but who knows? And he died in 2022 in Albany, New York, from, if I could say it right, mesothelioma.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like a lining around the organs.
Yes.
Yeah. And his ashes were sent into space along with Majel Barrett and Nichelle Nichols.
That's awesome. Well, look,
Star Trek veterans.
His, obviously his breadth of work, Star Trek, the motion picture, Blade Runner, Andromeda Strain, these movies we talk about, they probably got a lot of people interested who worked at NASA and other spacefaring adventures. You know what I mean? Like, became engineers or whatever. So yeah, he deserves his place up there.
Definitely. Up in the stars. So the screenplay by three guys, Derek Washburn and Michael Cimino. They're pretty much partners on several projects. Best known for the original screenplay for The Deer Hunter.
Yeah, Michael Cimino is the director of The Deer Hunter, I believe. And yeah, Heaven's Gate. Yep.
I guess he was Barbra Streisand's partner in the 80s, 83. And then the third screenplay credit is Stephen Bochco.
I saw that.
You would remember him from basically all those TV crime dramas in the 80s.
Yeah, I think he created Hill Street Blues, yeah.
Yeah, L.A. Law, Cop Rock, NYPD Blue, not to mention Doogie Howser, M.D.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And filming locations, basically the interiors were filmed on this decommissioned Korean War aircraft carrier called the USS Valley Forge. Which you'll hear about in a minute. Basically, I was docked at the Long Beach Naval Shipyard in Long Beach, California. And the forest environments were intended to be filmed in Mitchell Park Domes in Milwaukee. But production budget, which was very small in this, I'll talk a little about that, forced them to shoot in a newly completed aircraft hangar in Van Nuys, California. So this was a low budget. It was part of an experiment, I guess, created by Universal Studios to see if they could have a movie survive on word of mouth alone without an advertising campaign.
Okay.
And I saw a feature which named like 4 or 5 other movies. I don't recall them, but it didn't really work on this one because, as you'll talk about, it didn't really make too much money. Did become a cult classic, though. Let's see. And then another thing. So while he was created, the effects for 2001 Space Odyssey, that was directed obviously by Kubrick, and Kubrick wanted to feature a Saturn sequence. So they worked on it. Douglas Trumbull worked on it, and it just wasn't fully developed in time. So they had to scrap that. And in that movie, Jupiter is used instead. Trumbull went back and used that and recreated that footage. So the Saturn footage basically was used in Silent Running.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome too. I think that, I mean, whether you like this movie or not, we'll talk about it. The aesthetics, the effects are, the stuff he does here. I was reading, I'm sure you'll bring it up, but he had brought on like college students to help build models and stuff. And some of them became like John Dykstra was one of them who worked on Star Wars and stuff like that. Yeah. It's effective FX here. Oh,
for sure. And they look fantastic, really, especially for 1972.
Yeah.
Yeah. The model of the Valley Forge, which you were talking about, was put together by these college students, was 25 feet long. That's a big ass model. Took 6 months to create. And like you said, from college students and a lot of, I think they called it model mashing. So they just took model kits of so many different things and just like threw them all together and created all these different like looks and details on these things.
Well, that might be a phrase they use. I think they call that kit bashing now.
Kit bashing, yeah. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Kit bashing, not model mashing.
The model mash is a great like Halloween song. They did the mash. They did the model mash. It was a fucking sci-fi smash.
Sweet, I like it. And several of those domes did survive. One of them is at the Science Fiction Museum in Hall of Fame in Seattle. I think another one was sold at auction, and then I think Douglas Trumbull had some in his place. Actual footage from the film was reused in 1978's Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, and you can see it. I mean, it's literally just from here. And if you look real close, I guess you can see Bruce Dern as well.
I read that, yeah. And I also read, like, I don't know all the specifics, but so they used bits of this footage for Battlestar Galactica. And then when Battlestar Galactica came out, the producers of Star Wars, 20th Century Fox, tried to sue Battlestar Galactica saying you're ripping off kind of like broad concepts. And then Universal went back at them and said, you ripped off like the little droids and all that stuff for Star Wars. And George Lucas actually went to Douglas Trumbull and said, I would like to, because, obviously you can't watch this movie and not think about R2-D2 or
Right.
gonk droids, or there's so much Star Wars DNA in the little robots that are used here. So there was this whole circle jerk of
Exactly.
these three sci-fi franchises like trying to fuck each other over. Yeah.
I'm assuming you have some fun details on the drones and their actors.
I do. Let's get into the cast.
I'll leave that all for you. So, yep.
All right, let's get into the cast.
Hey, who the fuck are you? Huh? Who the fuck are you?
All right, so, I want to add one thing to the production stuff, but I'll get right into the cast, is that Joel Hodgson, who is the creator of Mystery Science Theater 3000, has single-handedly credited Silent Running as being a major influence on the entirety of Mystery Science Theater 3000. Mystery Science Theater 3000 is a guy in space, on a ship, with robot companions, in a jumpsuit, and this movie is the same thing, except he just doesn't watch bad movies.
Yeah. When I was watching it, I did not know that fact at all. But when I was watching it, I'm like, this is a perfect candidate for Mystery Science Theater 3000. I mean, everything about this movie.
Bruce Dern plays Freeman Lowell. Freeman Lowell loves trees fucking hard. Freeman Lowell is I guess you could say he's an astronaut. He's a crew member on the Valley Forge ship. These ships have been launched from Earth 8 years prior, and they hold these geodesic domes that have the world's forests in them. And he is, out of the 4 crew members, he is the only one that gives a shit about these forests. The other 3 guys, 2 guys are complete asshole bullies, and 1 guy is just like kind of laid back and like defends Lowell a lot. But they have this really weird dynamic. Bruce Dern, you might know from films such as The Burbs. He was in The Hateful Eight, and the very last Alfred Hitchcock film, which was a trivia question at our trivia night a couple months ago that we did not know the answer of.
Is it Family Plot?
It's Family Plot. He was in that.
Right.
Also, husband of the recently deceased Diane Ladd and father of Laura Dern. He plays a botanist in this film. Laura Dern plays a paleobotanist in Jurassic Park.
He was also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
which I just watched, rewatched again. And he's he's the guy that the Manson chicks they're living with him. Yeah. Okay. Real easy on the cast on this one. Cliff Potts plays John Wolfe. He is the guy that is kind of like the closest that Lowell has to a friend on this ship. Film called Snow Job, a film called Cry for Me, Billy, and a film called A Man Called Gannon. Ron Rifkin plays Marty Barker. He's recognizable, but he's normally bearded and older. He's a real fucking jaghole in this movie as well. Alias, the television show, he was Arvin Sloan, the bad guy.
Oh, right.
He was in the film JFK, and he was in the film Boiler Room. And then the final of the 3 or 4 crew people is Jesse Vint. He plays John Keenan. He was in Chinatown. He was in Earthquake, and he was in the early 90s Dolph Lundgren actioner, I Come in Peace. So we're talking about these droids that are in this movie. There are 3 of them, 1, 2, and 3, who eventually get renamed Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Louie doesn't have the best luck in the world. So as you're watching this movie, it's clear that these are some form of a person inside of a suit. They are boxy with like legs they walk on, but the legs, I couldn't wrap my head around how this worked.
Sort of bouncy.
And then I read it today. Did you read what it was?
Yeah, I saw it. I watched a little featurette on YouTube, and I saw them inside.
Okay. So what it is I'll give credit to these people. 4 amputees of one way, shape, or form. Larry Wisenhunt, Cheryl Sparks, Mark Parsons, and Steve Brown play these characters at different points. And at the very least, the one that I could not figure out, I think it's 2 or 1, with the wide stance. I'm like, why are his legs like that? He's fucking walking on his hands.
Yeah.
Inside that suit. And those are his arms. And that's why they're bowed out like that. I just couldn't wrap my head around it watching the movie. It didn't even occur to me. And then I realized that. What was the video like?
I think they were all like that. So maybe we can get a picture or something, but I'm watching it. And, there's the shape of Huey, Dewey, and Louie, right? It's just like boxy triangle shape.
Yeah.
And then there's like they each have that panel, like a little bit of a wider panel on the left side. And when you take that panel out, there's a fucking human face inside there.
Oh,
And
okay.
they're low to the ground. They have no legs. So their legs are supported underneath. I guess, I don't know how they hide it, or maybe it's just built in. And then the arms come down, and the arms are the actual legs. And they all just like walk that way. Maybe they walk differently on purpose, but it's so weird to see just faces. And they're young. Like one of them was 17. Like one of the guys was 17. One was like the girl, I think, was 20. Just very young actors.
I think you'd have to be
in this little box walking on their hands.
You'd have to have amazing stamina to be able to do that. Like walk on your hands is one thing, and I would assume maybe people like amputees without legs, their cores are probably pretty strong because, especially if they're lifting themselves up and around and stuff. But like to do that in that box and do it for long takes, and there's several scenes in this where it's like they walk across the outer hull of the ship. These droids, they're maintenance droids, so they're out in space, doing R2-D2 shit, or R2-D2's doing these droids shit. Really, in truth, they're astromechs essentially. So we mentioned that there are the ships, and Lloyd mentioned the Valley Forge. I just want to put it out there. We only hear about a couple of them directly in the movie, but here are all 8 ships. All 8 ships, by the way, carry 6 of those domes carrying forestry in them. So there is the Valley Forge, the secondary ship that we hear the most about, and it ties into the Douglas Trumbull thing, is Berkshire. Then Sequoia is the other one that we hear from in the movie. And then there is at one point, I don't remember this, but I read this, where they're calling out each ship, and as they're getting rid of their payload, we have Acadia, Yellowstone, Glacier, Blue Ridge, and Mojave. Those are all national parks in the United States. So I thought that was pretty cool that they did that. So that's everything for the cast. Let's get into this movie. Basically, we get a crawl at the beginning. Does it tell us the time period we're in, Manster? Are we in the future?
I don't think it says. So I typically like to watch these movies twice. So I watched this one earlier in the week. I had to rent it on Prime Video. And then by the time I was able to rewatch it again, my time had expired. So I've only seen it the once. And,
your hard 48 hours was done.
Yeah, it was done.
Yeah. So it basically tells us that these ships are out and they are carrying the Earth's forest. Now, we never learn in this movie what happened to the Earth.
No.
The Earth still exists because the crew members talk about wanting to go home. We are told very little bits and pieces. Like at one point, the Lowell character mentions that the Earth is 75 degrees. Like he makes it sound like it's like consistently 75 degrees. So I don't know if this is like an Earth that they're saying was nuked at some point and now is coming back, or there was some kind of eco destruction going on. They took all the forests out because they had to, and they're flying them 8 years out into space. They're orbiting Saturn at the point the story starts.
Yeah. Do we know how long it takes to get to Saturn?
No, I didn't look it up, but that's got to be a while.
It must be light years. Like,
yeah. And the weird thing about it is these ships are gigantic, and it's pretty clear that there's only 4 people, at least on the Valley Forge.
Yeah.
4 guys running it. So we start off in the movie and we've got 3 of the guys on these little go-kart type things that they have on these ships, and they're just zipping around, fucking off.
Yeah, they're playing bumper cars just like randomly. Oh, with lots and lots of sponsorship, because like I said, low budget. So many sponsors.
Coca-Cola, Dow Chemical. Those are 2 I saw.
Oh, American Airlines.
American Airlines is actually what the ship is. The ship is American Airlines Star Freighter. And then I think I read Kawasaki and a couple other things were there as well.
There's several more.
They're driving around inside these giant, I guess, storage areas. And then they're zipping around inside these domes where we meet Lowell for the first time. And Lowell is the ultimate, ecology guy. He is in his bathrobe. He's tending to some plants. He's got a hawk on one arm, and he's fucking around with a rabbit in his other hand. Hey, are you hungry, buddy?
Yeah.
Are you hungry? And these guys come out into the forest area and are running over his grass. And he's like, you sons of bitches. Although, get off my lawn, essentially. This is a G-rated movie, by the way. There's none of that. Kind of get the vibe immediately that these guys are bored and want to go home.
Yeah, right away.
And Lowell is just ultimately all about the beauty of natural wonder, right? Right, Master? Like, what does he say?
He like goes off and on in their faces, you know. I forget exactly, but he gives like this whole speech about the flora and fauna and, you know, all the things that you need, and that Earth isn't going to have it again, and we need to preserve this, and, you know, that's why you're doing. He's like the only one who's into it.
Yeah.
How can you have these astronauts that are out there on this such a critical mission and none of them give a shit?
No, and these guys, they don't just give a shit. They make fun of him for eating a cantaloupe.
Yeah, that's right.
He's eating a cantaloupe for breakfast, and one of the guys is like, now, look, I'm going to say this. I don't like cantaloupe myself. I like fruit. I don't like cantaloupe, but the smell of a cantaloupe doesn't disturb me. This guy's like, that thing stinks. Get it the fuck away from me. Like, it's a cantaloupe. Meanwhile, they're eating, you know, he starts going off about how they're eating like basically Star Trek synthesized food. Right.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, how could you eat this? Look at it. It's a little block. And what are you putting in your body? So none of these guys seem like they're really the best of friends. And the Wolf character kind of keeps telling these other guys, come on, give Lowell a break. He's
give him a break.
He's a good guy, you know. And at one point we see that there is some kind of camaraderie between them. They have a poker game where it all starts off kind of very friendly, but Manster, whether or not these guys are friendly or maybe a little bit tense, they eventually get orders from Earth.
This was so confusing to me. Look, so they're out there. They spent billions of dollars, right, to rip up trees and make these geodiscs or whatever they call them.
Geodesic, yeah.
Geodesics, and they got, you know, a fleet of spaceships, and these guys manning them, and they've been up there, 8 years?
Yeah.
So then they get orders, we're going to scrap it all, blow everything up, come back down. We can't afford this. What can they afford? They're just flying around in space.
Yeah.
I did not understand the order at all.
So they tell them, you've got to nuke these domes into space, and then you're going to return the fleet back, and the ships are going to be used for cargo. So this experiment is done. That's one of the things about this movie that's, you know, maybe to some people would be frustrating. It's vague for sure, is we don't know what happened to the Earth. We don't know why they suddenly don't give a shit about these forests that they at one point said, we have to preserve these and send them out to come back at a point.
Right.
So nuke them. Another thing I noticed in this movie is in the use of the scuttling device, like the nuclear devices. It very much reminded me of Alien at the end when she's trying to destroy the Nostromo. Yep. There's something about these little canisters with the keys and everything that I went, oh yeah, they definitely
you got to get in there and twist it, and
they grab that a little bit
too.
Yeah. So they tell them that they have to do this, and the three guys are like, we're going home. Fuck it.
They're psyched. They're like totally happy to be doing this.
There are so many duckies and bunnies in these domes, and these three guys are like, we are going to fucking lay nuclear waste to it. They mentioned at one point, like, the way it's going to work is they eject one dome at a time, and I think they said it has to get 6 miles away, which doesn't seem like it gets 6 miles away, but I know space is different. So they start going about their job of getting these domes ready to blow up.
Right.
And
they're doing their job.
Meanwhile,
they're slapping each other on the back. They're trying to be happy for Lowell, and Lowell's like practically crying. Oh, I also saw like the tears that welled up in his eyes, you know, when he's talking about preserving. Those were actually real. Like that was real, because he was conjuring up the death of his own daughter.
Yeah, I read that the water bucket that they used throughout the movie, that dented water bucket, was his deceased little girl's. I guess there was a sister, a Laura Dern sister, that passed, and it was hers, and they used that in the movie. And he's, I guess, I did read that he's like kind of like maybe a method actor or was a method actor. Yeah, that's sad. So
he's a very good actor. I mean, he plays angry really well.
Yeah. So as they're going about the business of going into these domes And we get a real feeling that like there's one dome in particular that he gives the most shit about. Like this is like his dome. That's where we saw him.
Sanctuary there.
His sanctuary. We saw him feeding the rabbits and stuff like that. So they're doing their business. They're opening up these pipes and putting these bombs in there, and then they're bringing all the detonators back to the ship, and they're going to arm them. He's just in his dome, like he's fucking literally watering plants.
Bathrobe, watering plants, taking care of bunnies.
They're going to blow it up in like 6 minutes, and he's watering plants. So
so what do you think of the scene when he's in there watering, right? And then the other guys start jettisoning all the domes and blowing them up, and every single one you get an explosion, and he looks.
Yeah.
And he looks for each one like it's what is that?
Right. Yeah, he's surprised.
Like 6 times.
Yeah, it is. There's like 5 of them other than his, and everyone that blows up, and they're doing them quickly. They said 6 miles. It doesn't feel like 6 miles. You get this giant, enormous nuclear explosion, this light, and he looks up again. Like, what the fuck was that? But he's not leaving his dome. So finally, the John Wolfe character rolls into the dome in his little fucking go-kart. And Lowell picks up like a big tool,
he's got like one of those chopping shovels, like it's got a real sharp tip. It's flat, but it's very sharp and like very sturdy.
And he tells him, "Get out of here! You're not doing that here." And Wolf is like, "Guy, we gotta. We've been friends. I've put up with you and I've defended you, but like we have to go. We have to do this right now." They get into a tussle, an old-fashioned tussle, and Lowell ends up winning. And he ends up murdering this guy in cold blood by choking him out.
Does Wolf have a gun or something?
No.
He injures him, or does he just injure him with the shovel?
With the shovel. So he ends up killing him, but before he kills him with the shovel and choking him out, Wolf manages to like right near the beanbag.
Nick his femoral artery or something.
Yeah. And he bleeds the most strange paint-looking blood of all time.
Yeah, very painty.
Very painty. So now Lowell is hurt. And he just leaves John's body there. He's a murderer now.
Chokes him out. He fucking chokes him out. He's on his back and he takes the handle. You know, he straddles the guy's neck with the shovel and just pushes down till he's expired.
He's got a lot of love for trees, but not a lot of love for people.
Right.
And then he goes one step further. He goes back into the ship. He's limping. His leg is hurting him. Goes back into the ship. He gets to the detonators of the last dome that's left besides his, which the other 2 guys are in setting up the bombs for, and he sets it off to go off. He hits the button. These guys hear that the thing is starting to detach. They start to run for the door. It shuts and it gets away, and boom, he nukes those motherfuckers. So
he sure does.
He is flat out murdered. Murdered.
They have murdered 3 people now. And I like those detachment scenes, and I also read that Trumbull based that on some actual, probably NASA like detachment things that he just saw once. So
if I saw that in a movie like Apollo 13, I would think it was supposed to go along with it. It looked great, you know.
Yeah, it looked really good.
Everything blowing off, like kind of like the little bits of debris.
One thing that we haven't even mentioned once yet, and it was right away. You get this is the theme music and the Joan Baez songs. It's so fucking horrible.
I'm not going to play my cards yet. I'm not going to play my cards.
I'm just saying this music is just horrible.
Well, here's the problem. Like, okay, I never liked Joan Baez. I don't generally really like folk music anyway.
Right.
This is 1972. This is a movie that, you know, in the long run is kind of like an ecology tale. Like,
it's a very preachy tree hugger movie.
And Joan Baez comes in 3 separate songs, I think, in this movie, and it just grinds to a fucking halt. Picture the worst Joan Baez song you can think of, and there's 3 of them. That. Yeah, it's worse than that.
She's talking about having the earth in her toes. And oh my god.
All the little babies. And I'm like, oh, this is the fucking worst thing ever. This is the worst thing ever. I watched this with Heather, and I had told Heather that you had told me you had kind of made an allusion to these songs. And I said to her, at some, because it took a little bit. I'm like, I figured it'd open with one. And I'm like, okay, nothing. And then we get to, I think it's right around the time after he kills the first guys, maybe. And that's where the first one comes in. And you hear the little strumming of the acoustic guitar. And then she starts fucking whining over it. And,
and it goes on for 2 or 3 minutes.
It's like terrible.
So long.
It's terrible. Happens 3 times in the movie. And each time it brings this movie down a notch for sure. For sure. So, okay, the song ends. He's killed all these people. And now he is getting messages from the Berkshire ship, which wants to know why hasn't it released its last dome? What does he tell them, Master?
He says there's technical difficulties, right? He can't find the other crew members.
He just lies. Yeah.
And he's just lying. And, then he makes a maneuver to go through the rings of Saturn. Isn't that it?
They tell him, so he's
going to die.
Right. He basically makes a maneuver to escape from them, but because they don't know something's wrong, they think something's wrong with the ship. Yeah. And they're like, if you end up going towards these rings, we're going to lose you. And they even say to him at one point, like, maybe you want to try. And he's like, I'm not committing suicide. I'll just let this happen. So, but at the same time, even though he really is actually heading towards the rings of Saturn. And he ends up going through the rings of Saturn, which is a cool visual effect. It's like very rainbowy. And now, meanwhile, he also, by this point, I think, has taken the robots over, right?
So after he was hurt in the fight with Wolf, he goes back in and he starts putting little cartridges, programming cartridges, I guess, into the robots so they could do a little surgery on his leg and fix him up.
Right. One of them is in charge of the anesthesia, but it's just him. He's like on the table. He's just huffing it. He's like the Steve Martin dentist from Little Shop of Horrors. He's just fucking huffing as hard as he can because these robots are going to be fucking cutting into his leg.
Yeah. And I saw a little feature on that too, that whole scene. Each of the robots just had like a plain arm, like when it was just like moving around. But whenever using like the articulating arms and stuff, they had another attachment for that. And they were like remote controlled and stuff, but sometimes they weren't working right. So there's a scene where they're doing the surgery and you can actually see it, like the camera pulls back. Doug Trumbull himself is like holding the robot arm himself and doing those maneuvers.
Flapping it around. Funny. Surgery goes well. But when they're going through the rings of Saturn, some of the droids are outside and one of them, his leg gets stuck into
Louis?
Louis, the third droid, number 3. Yeah. His leg gets stuck in like a piece of the ship. And because of the disturbance and everything that's happening, he gets pulled into space. These droids feel for each other because like the other 2 droids look at each other. I think one of the coolest things in this movie, and I'm sure you read on it too, and I was going to ask you what your opinion of it was do you think the droids are onto him and how he's like he's done a bad thing? Because whenever he tells them to do something or he forces them to play poker with him later in the movie, they look at each other like people that were under hostage situation would be like, okay, we better do this or he's going to hurt us, right?
Yeah, they have little tilting of the head or, the whole body actually. But yeah, you get a sense like, hey, we better do what this guy says.
Yeah, the robots know he's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, because then he has a conversation shortly after that because he's like, all right, well, I got to take care of the force and I can't do everything here and I'm hurt right now anyway. So he starts programming the robots, the droids, to do maintenance work and learn how to maintain a forest and plant trees and stuff like that. Remember the scene where they're digging a hole? He goes, all right, now Huey, you're going to dig the hole and Dewey, you're going to put the tree in. And then he drops the tree and it falls over and he yells out. He fucking yells out. He goes, that's a terrible job.
Yeah. He's like, that's no good. That's no good. And he burns him with a cigarette.
Yeah. And then the next scene, they're like, well, now I got to teach you how to play poker because I killed all my human friends and I got to play poker with someone.
There's scenes in this movie as this movie's going along. And it's also like, I had to read this. I think you're supposed to believe that this is months that have gone by, that he's been on the ship with these robots and by himself. And he's having like these visions and dreams of killing John Wolfe and nuking those other guys and the bad stuff he's done. So he's having this moment now where he's starting to feel like maybe, yes, he saved this forest, but the people, like what actually matters more. But yeah, he has the whole scene where he plays poker with them and he's just talking out loud to them. And he's just kind of becoming more and more unhinged.
I mean, goofy, very goofy. Oh, he also, remember they planted Wolf too.
They buried Wolf, yeah. Yeah, which I thought was a funny scene because he's having these guilty moments and he sends them into the dome to find Wolf's body, which has just been laying there for a while. I need you to dig a ditch and put him in it. And it has to be 7 feet long and 3 feet wide, but he never says how deep. He never tells them like if it's actual burial of 6 feet.
Yeah, but I didn't catch that.
What I thought was really funny was they go out there, they drag him, they drag his body to the point where they're going to bury him. And then when he's watching on the monitor that they just roll him in. Like, I know they can't really do anything else, but it just seems so
funny.
It's funny because it's so unceremonious. Like, we're going to bury him because that's the right thing to do. And then he just fucking rolls him the fuck in. Dewey or Huey, just roll him in. We got to mention the very bizarre car accident that he has.
Oh, yeah. That's when Louis gets hurt, right?
Okay, so...
Oh, not Louis. Dewey.
He seems to be doing stuff that the guys that he didn't like are doing. Like, he admits at one point that he's eating the food. Like,
he starts eating the little pods and whatever little squares of stuff.
Right. So I don't know if this movie is trying to tell us that, like, he is regressing to what other people were like, even though now he has his version of a paradise.
Yeah.
And he tells them, says to the robots, almost like a guy who's got to go on a diet. He's like, I gotta go dig up some of my own food. He does that, but then he's also at one point driving around in one of the little go-kart things, the trams.
Recklessly driving around.
Recklessly. Now, Lloyd, I gotta ask you, he so easily could have avoided hitting that droid, right? I mean, like, he's like 20 feet away from him when he realizes he's there and he still drives into it.
Yeah. He's losing it, man. He's just losing it.
He hits the droid. It looks like all he does is crushes his little hand.
Yeah.
But then we get this incredibly sad scene where
they're doing a repair surgery
on the droid, and the other droid, Dewey or Huey, is watching, and he's like, I'm really sorry, buddy. But like, that's all that I could do. That's all I could fix. Now I don't know if you read this or not. Laura Dern wanted to see this movie and she was like 6. This scene traumatized her.
Oh,
they had to take her out of the theater because she was mad at him. First of all, she was mad at her dad for hitting the droid with the car. And then the surgery scene fucked her little mind up and they had to take her out of the screening of this movie, apparently. But yeah, the surgery scene is kind of hardcore because at the end of it, he's like, yeah, you're never going to be the same. Like, it's, I don't know, it's kind of sad. And then in the course, we also get at some point another Joan Baez song, and then we get the Blight Monster. What starts
the Blight? He just like realized. So apparently he's losing touch because anybody knows that, they need 3 things, right? Trees. They need soil, they need water, and they need sunlight.
Right.
These trees are only getting 2 of those, right? They're not getting sunlight. And he seems all confused about like why they're dying and they're getting the blight. Well, it was after the other freighter reconnects with them, right? Then it like dawns on him what it is, or
yeah, because he passed through the rings of Saturn and ended up, I guess, on the dark side of Saturn.
Because they said the dark side, right?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I'll be honest with you. I was looking for answers in this movie. Do you remember when he was driving I think it was when he was driving the go-kart before he hits the robot, he knocks over one of those
soil thing.
I thought the answer was going to be like the soil had a disease in it. Like it was
okay.
And I was thinking too hard because
that would have made sense. Yeah.
So one of the problems with this movie, and it's not the movie's fault, it's a budgetary thing, is every time they go into the dome, his dome, even though it, like when you see it from the outside, it's clearly gigantic. It's football fields long. They only film in one section repeatedly. And when he brings the 6 like lights out, right? You laughed at that too, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, these 6 lights he bought on Amazon.com or Temu are replacing the power of the sun in this giant dome. He put 6 lights out in a circle that would fit inside the room I'm sitting in right now. And he's like, well, we're all good again.
We're good.
Yeah.
And I can't believe they don't have some sort of light source built in, with the power that's in those things. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. As we're heading towards the end of this, he has reconnected, as Manster said, with the fleet, who thought that they were never going to see him again, right? Because they just thought, they didn't know he killed anybody. They didn't know any of that stuff. They thought he just was on a crash course with the rings of Saturn. Now they're like, holy shit, we did not think we were going to see you again. 6 hours and we're docking with you. Now, obviously, that means in 6 hours' time,
he's going to be found out.
It's going to be found out. There's still a dome. He lied about the dome too, I think, right? Or he didn't lie about the dome. He said that he couldn't release the dome because the mechanism was broken.
Yep.
And he had to knock pins out and he couldn't do it. He knows that when they get there, they're going to launch that dome off and destroy it. So, and he also knows he's going to be found out to be a murderer. So time kind of goes down. And Manster, how does he spend his last couple hours with the robots? What does he tell them to do?
Well, he wants them to take care of the forest, right?
One of them, yeah.
One of them, I forget which one. Dewey. The one without the broken arm.
And it's so mean because he said, I can't remember who's who, but he says to the healthy one, let's say it's Yui, he's like, I need you to take care of this dome. Like, you are going to take care of this forest. It is on you. You know what to do. I've taught you well. Yeah. And then he says to the other one, he's like,
don't forget the lights.
You're a fucking gimp. And you can't, he's like, you can't help Dewey or Yui. Right. So
makes no sense.
You're coming with me and where we're going ain't great. Yeah. So we get this moment where he sits down in a room, right, Manster? And take it from here. What does he do to the dome and what does he do to himself?
He jettisons the dome.
Yes. He jettisons the dome to float out in space and be taken care of with its new...
With Dewey. Yeah. Dewey's the one in that dome. And then he does the old detonate the nuclear charges to destroy the Valley Forge with him and Huey in it. And who knows? I don't know how close the other ship is.
They said they're 2 hours away, I was thinking about that. I'm like, is he going to kill these guys too?
Yeah.
Is he going to kill them when they dock? Luckily, it seems like they never docked, and we don't get an ending either where. You hear the disembodied voice Valley Forge, Valley Forge. I kind of wanted to know that he didn't murder more people.
Right.
In a nuclear blast.
But that's it, unceremoniously, and boom, they're gone. But then you get the final scene of the other, dome drifting in space with Dewey tenderly caring for it with that old battered watering can.
Right, like you said. You would think they'd have lights built in. Wouldn't you think let's say a dome the size of, let's just make up a number, 20 football fields, that they'd have some kind of irrigation system? This fucking 2-legged robot that's actually an amputee walking on its hands is going to have to water everything in this motherfucker. And he's programmed, so he can't quit. He's got the ultimate worst job ever. Because he can't benefit from any of this shit. The trees make oxygen. He don't need oxygen. Right. There's a wonderful stream. He can't get in the water. He'll get all rusty. He'll get all rusty or fried. Oh, he's got animal friends. He doesn't give a shit about animal friends. And he can't eat them either.
And he can't play poker with them.
Yeah. Do you think it would have been what do you think the ending says about Lowell that he didn't jettison himself off in that dome as well? Do you think that means he thinks he's not worthy of living because of what he did? Because that's kind of, I guess, what I think it must be.
I think so. He, like I said, he was just losing touch with reality and clearly wasn't thinking straight for a while. I don't know. It's still, I think a different ending would have made more sense, but you've got this cute little sentimental ending now.
I think it partially shows some, I don't want to say growth, but decline in the character, because when the pilot of the Berkshire says to him, well, you're going through the rings of Saturn, before you get there, and he cuts him off and says, I'm not committing suicide.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I think he thinks that, I think what it is I think he thinks he is now in a utopia. He's by himself.
Yeah.
No people to bother him, and he could just tend to his garden. And then everything kind of slowly goes wrong, including the fact that he realizes that maybe you need other people around you. And, you know, these robots aren't exactly like the best companions because they're robots. And these aren't like, this isn't C-3PO. These things don't talk.
Right.
Literally, they're like an ATM. They have like a light that flashes and like a drawer that opens up and doesn't give them money. All right. So that is 1972's Silent Running. And let's talk about how this thing did overall in the box office.
Where's the money? When are you going to get the money? Why aren't you getting the money now? And so on. So please, the money.
All right, Manster, what was the budget on this and what did it end up making?
So we had a budget of around $1 million, maybe $1.25 million, but right around there. And I have domestic 1.8 million, but where I found that, it also said rentals after it.
Okay.
So that must include the rentals. So this was not a hit in any way, shape, or form.
Well, but if they didn't pay for advertising, as you said, like earlier.
True. Yep.
I know things were different in 72. Advertising wasn't what it is now. There was no Super Bowl Sunday ad for Bruce Dern, Huey, Dewey, Louie, trees, Silent Running, coming at you this summer, motherfucker. There was none of that.
I think the title was the audience silently running away.
Yeah. Very possible. All right, so the top 5 grossing movies of 1972. This is insane. It says here on the numbers, because Box Office Mojo doesn't go down that far. It says the number 5 ranked movie that year came out on June 30th, 1972. It made $45 million that year. Was Deep Throat.
Okay.
Deep Throat. Yeah, porno.
I had a different number 5, but I don't know what the source was.
Okay. Yours is probably more right than this one, Deep Throat. But I know Deep Throat did make a lot of money in theaters. It was the first, I think, like kind of like
number 5. Wow, that's
it does seem like a lot. But number 4, Burt Reynolds looking all manly with a bow and arrow. That's right. We got Deliverance. Number 3, What's Up, Doc? Number 2, what is that? What is that? Sidney Poitier?
Barbra Streisand.
Oh, okay. All right.
Comedy. I think Ryan Reynolds. Ryan
O'Neal.
Ryan O'Neal. I think.
He was the 70s Ryan Reynolds. He was hot back then.
Correct.
Number 2, The Poseidon Adventure, Gene Hackman in the Upside Down Boat. And number 1, making people offers they can't refuse since 1972. It was The Godfather. And Silent Running was nowhere even in the top 20.
No, not in a million.
No, it wasn't in the top 1 million.
I had my number 5 as Jeremiah Johnson.
That's at number 6 on mine.
The Robert Redford. I've seen all 5 of those movies, so.
Yeah, I've never seen Jeremiah Johnson either. All right, let's rate this fucking thing.
Let's rock.
0 to 5, 0 being the worst thing ever, 5 being the best thing ever. Quarter and half scale optional. I'll go first on this one. I won't put the pressure on the master. I was initially a little worried because the first text I had gotten from the Manster about this movie, he had watched it before me, was not necessarily complimentary. And then I had to remind him, I'm like, this is your boy Douglas Trumbull's movie. And his answer was, well, fuck that guy then. So, because I kind of did this movie thinking, oh, Douglas Trumbull, Manster connection. But I gotta be honest, I like this movie. I'm not saying I love this movie, but I like this movie. I'm going to give it a 3 1/4. Bruce Dern is very good in this movie. He really sells you on this guy who is all about one thing and then kind of realizes a lot of things that, you know, everything isn't exactly the way that he thought it would be once he thought, you know, well, I'll take care of these pesky humans and I could live peacefully forever. And he has that killer's remorse that we hear about so much in the real world. And everything isn't as perfect as he thought. The effects are great in this movie. The little robot droids obviously influence so many things, from R2-D2 to Tweaky, from Buck Rogers to so many different science fiction films and stories. Yes, I actually kind of like the vagueness of what happened to Earth in this, because we don't focus on that. Just for some reason or another, Earth is not uninhabitable, but it is just something happened there, and we took all the trees and sent them out into space. Whether that makes sense or not, I don't know, but I think it's a nice idea that we would look to try to do that. The Joan Baez songs are fucking awful. I get it. It's 1972. We're right there in that like hippy dippy bullshit era of time. And it makes sense that they're in this movie, but they suck. There's 3 of them. They're only a couple minutes long, but she's grating as fuck. So that's a down for the movie because they're in the movie, but it's not a part of the actual story or anything. So I can forgive that a little bit. It is only an hour and a half-ish long. And it's one of those movies that maybe a little bit more time in the middle where you see him a little bit more, maybe declining in his stance, or maybe even more like kind of having a moment with himself or with Huey, Dewey, and Louie, maybe where he explains what he did. Maybe he starts talking to them about like his faults and the fact that he murdered people to get to where he's at. And that kind of brings him to his final idea of what has to be done. But yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 1/4. I was not mad at this movie. Am I going to watch it a bunch more? I don't know. I might throw this in again at some point because I think there's some stuff to technically marvel at, and there's really one main performance in it, and it's really good. So 3 1/4, I think, is pretty fair for this. Manster, what do you got?
I have a hard time getting over just the nonsensicalness of many things. First of all, how can 4 guys, 3 of them that don't give a shit at all, take care of these 6 biodesics that are maybe 20 football fields in diameter each? How can that happen? That's impossible. Why would they scrap the whole program and say, blow it all up? We don't give a shit about oxygen or, trees anymore. Just blow it up. We don't need it ever again.
But that goes along with, I think, part of the vagueness of what's happening back on Earth. There might be a reason. Maybe they've come up with machines that now do that, or I kind of like the fact maybe, and I get where you don't like that because it's a little bit of one or the other. I don't want over explanation. And on this, they're giving you no explanation. So I get your reasoning for not liking that.
I would have liked it better if they said, hey guys, we've developed a way to, whatever, oxygenate the earth or whatever. If they would have just said, oh, we've got a way to do it, it would have been so much better for me. Dern's portrayal of a guy who's just been pushed too far is really good. He's very Dernish because he's a very good actor. So he's great. His facial expressions, everything about it. He seesaws back and forth. I think when he's, as he gets more unhinged, he's first gentle and like he's a loner and doesn't want to be too bothered, but then he becomes very violent and he kills those guys. And it didn't seem very much of an effort to just kill them, to him. He didn't struggle with that at all.
I think that's part of his character, though. He just wants to like climb a tree. And I think that's part of the reason why he kills himself at the end is because he's like, fuck, man, maybe trees are great, but like, maybe people aren't bad either.
maybe. Seeing them again in like the little Battlestar Galactica clip was really cool. It was like, oh wow, look at that! I actually know what that is now.
Right.
They did I saw another little thing about Star Trek Discovery. Remember that redheaded girl in Star Trek Discovery?
Yeah.
I forget her name, but there's a scene where she like looks out the window and says, "Oh my God, it's a flying like jungle in space or in outer space." Yes, it was like a nod to Silent Running that I didn't ever catch, the first time. I don't know. I think the environmentalist message is pretty heavy-handed, especially when accompanied with that lame-ass music.
Music's bad. I'll give you that.
It took me out of it so much. Every time that music came on, it was just like, can't this just be over? So I'm knocking at a lot of points for that. So I'm gonna give it a straight up 2.
Oh,
yeah, I know it's a bad score. Maybe I should say it's a solid 2, because I do recognize a lot of the good things, but the movie made me upset.
Solid 2 is what I took this morning when I got up. I don't know if you could have. I don't know if you could have a solid 2. I hope that I honestly, just because of your personal connection, I hope the ghost of Douglas Trumbull doesn't
I hope he doesn't come to haunt me.
Build a model of you and throw it off a cliff or anything. Ooh. All right. Well, that's fair. That's fair.
I just don't like it. I was like, oh my God, can this just be over? I'm telling you, it was mostly the songs that made it, the things that I can't get past in my head and the music.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Well, next week should be better without playing our cards. It should be better. We're doing 2001, A Space Odyssey, and lovely redheaded stranger. Laura will be joining us on that one. So we'll be talking about a lot of fun stuff. But again, as we mentioned, happy birthday to G.I. Gary. And of course, this is Christmas week and of course, Hanukkah and everything else that's going on. Happy holidays from the Pint. Master, why don't you tell everybody where they can find us?
On all of your podcatchers, you can find us every week. I think mostly every week,
Pretty much.
As we get older, sometimes we have to nurse ourselves a little bit. We might miss a week.
The last time we missed a week was because I had gotten into a shovel fight with a guy, and 2 of my robots had to give me surgery. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Excellent. You can find us on YouTube, The Pint, a Pop Culture Podcast, and on Instagram at The Pint Pop, and obviously Patreon. You can be an insider still. www.patreon.com/The Pint. Get some good stuff on there. You can make your own suggestions, and we could do what you want us to do.
Ooh, that sounds sexy. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Master, say the words.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over!
Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!